my name is Michelle. Welcome to my channel. I am your emotional resilience coach. Please hit like, subscribe, share, and of course those notification buttons. So today we're going to chat about codependency. At the start of our codependent series, I thought I would start with the denial pattern. The denial is huge in all codependents. Codependents minimize, distort, justify what actually is happening. That way they stay in the abuse. It's not that bad, or they ignore the fact that it's actually happening. They make excuses for the abuser. Oh shame this happened, or oh shame they're feeling this, or worse, they blame themselves. If I wasn't like this, then they wouldn't be like that, right? That's denial. Focusing on what could be instead of what is, trusting and believing that the person will change, believing empty promises. These are all characteristics of denial and codependency. And also, for me, the story I'm going to share with you is not seeing it for what it is, not realizing how bad and dysfunctional it actually is. Perhaps like in my case, I was always drummed into me, we don't air our dirty laundry. So from very young, I got used to, everything is fine, everything is great. That smile on your face and that pretense of everything is amazing. And the truth is, everything is actually not amazing. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So the other day, I had this experience still. As I said, I'm a recovering codependent, and sometimes these things still happen unconsciously. And for me, how bad it actually was comes home to me a lot. So when I met my husband and I told him my story, the first weekend he kind of looked at me and he wasn't sure if he actually believed my story. And the reason he wasn't sure he believed it was because I am very matter of fact about it. Because there is this disconnect, again, that dissociation between me, my thoughts, my feelings, and what actually happened. And I'm still doing that journey to connect the two. And so obviously after 18 plus years, he knows, he's lived with it, he's seen the meltdowns, he's seen the vulnerability, he's seen the crying, he's seen it all. He knows my family, he knows it's true. But for him it was very weird in the beginning, because what I was telling him and how I was showing up, he was very like, this is odd. Why aren't you feeling this? Why aren't you seeing this? I was often told that as a child, things like, oh, you're just making things up, or oh, it's not that bad, or stop pretending, and this comes from family, a little bit of extended family, stop pretending that things are so terrible, they really aren't. You don't come from a broken home. Things really aren't as bad as you make them out to be. So I believed from young that things really weren't that bad, because extended family, who was being told what was happening in my home, was minimizing it for me. And I bought that belief, and I was like, okay, so people are telling me it's not that bad, so clearly this is actually normal. And so I'm going to share the story with you today. Sitting around the table yesterday with my family, and my youngest daughter, she loves to make games. She loves to play board games, minute to winner type games, get to know you games. Yesterday her game was Never Have I Ever. And we don't lie to our children. I don't necessarily tell them everything, but when things come up, I'm going to be honest with them. And yesterday she did a Never Have I Ever, and she asked, have you ever shoplifted? And mine was, yes, I have. And my kids were like, oh, Mom, what did you do? When did you do it? How old were you? What did you steal? And I was about 12 years old, 11 or 12, and I had the wrong friends. You tend to be with the wrong friends a lot. And I had the wrong friends, and I'd gone to the friend for the afternoon, and my dad was fetching me that Friday afternoon, and I was going to his house for the weekend. And when I was at this friend's house, her brother had a friend, and her brother dared myself and his friend to steal something from the shop. He did not get caught. I did get caught. I've never stolen anything before. And I stole a little chocolate, tiny little chocolate. And she asked, my daughter asked me jokingly, she said, "Did you go to mall prison?" And I said, "No, I went to house prison." And they all kind of looked at me confused. And I said, "Okay, well, what happened was the girl whose house I was at for the afternoon, she'd phoned her mom. Her mom came and picked me up. And her mom then phoned my mom. And I wasn't home that weekend. Somewhere along the lines, my mom phoned my dad. I knew that I was in trouble. My dad was actually pretty relaxed. He didn't really know how to deal with it, but he was like, okay, this sort of thing happens, but it's not great, but okay. And then I saw my mom on the Sunday, and my mom didn't speak to me for days. She just stayed in bed and she just cried, and she said I made her very sick, and that she cried so much that she was physically ill, and she wouldn't even look at me. And she just said that I was going to be the death of her. And she was very distant. She was very dismissive of even my existence. She wouldn't take notice of me at all. What happened was they put me in the bathroom of our house, and I wasn't allowed out the bathroom. The bathroom was my prison for the weekend. That I wasn't allowed out. I could bath, obviously. I could obviously use the toilet, but I wasn't allowed to leave the bathroom. And they made me sit. I remember there was a little white wooden workbench, and I was made to sit on this workbench. And every time my stepfather came in, if I had gotten off the workbench to lie down, he would make me sit on this workbench, this tiny little thing. I was very uncomfortable. And I had to sit on this little wooden workbench in the bathroom. And come night time, I had to sleep there. And my supper was brought into the bathroom, and just like a prisoner. And the second night, I think I was given a pillow. I think the first night I was given a pillow, and the second night I was given my duvet, and then I think the next morning I was allowed out. But I was punished severely for days. Nobody asked the why. Nobody wanted to know why I was with the wrong people, why I did it. Nobody questioned maybe there was dysfunction in the home, maybe there was abuse in the home. I was just severely made to feel that I was a horrible human being, that there was something intrinsically wrong with me, and that I wasn't just a deep disappointment, but I was going to kill my mother because of how I behaved, and that I was responsible for her health. And when I shared my story, I was very matter of fact. In fact, what I do is I lighten it by laughing about it. And I stopped and I looked around the table, and my kids were horrified and squirmy. My little two didn't know what to do. And then I realized what I'd shared, and my oldest one, they always looked to Dad, and they looked at their dad and they're like, "Daddy." And he said, "Yeah, I know these stories." He says, "I don't know what to say, kiddos. That was your mom's childhood." And when I saw the horror on their faces, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm still in denial, you know. It was abuse. Things were really, really bad. And I need to kind of connect with how bad they really are, because I was very blasé about it. That is my story on codependency and denial and what that looks like. And so we've got to be really real and honest with ourselves, and maybe share your story. Maybe share your story with somebody who can reflect back to you and mirror your story back to you. So often it is the look on people's faces that makes me take a step back and go, oh, don't minimize this, Michelle. Don't make it into nothing. Don't pretend that it wasn't as bad as it was. And these people are shocked, and they're shocked for a reason, and maybe you need to connect with that. And it's hard, it's difficult. I've done videos on Feel Your Feelings, but I think it's really good as a codependent to get out of the habit of minimizing what we went through, justifying what we went through, talking ourselves out of how bad it really is, saying that, you know, you're just overreacting. Whatever stories you were told as children, or whatever stories you told yourself, or whatever it is, it's time that we validate ourselves, our feelings, and the horror that we went through. Because it's only when we do that that we're able to actually heal the inner child who's screaming for that recognition. So thank you. Thank you for hearing my story. Again, please hit subscribe, like, and if you feel this is going to help anybody, share, and stay tuned. I'm going to continue with codependency patterns and how they manifest in our lives, and where I can, I will keep sharing my story.